Let's be real, profit matters, but it's not the only thing that defines a healthy business. In this episode, we're talking about a different kind of ROI, the return on people. We're highlighting companies that invest in generous people first benefits like paid childcare, mental health days, and time off, and how those choices reduce taxable income while building strong, sustainable businesses. You don't have to squeeze every penny of profit to build something meaningful. Let's dig into how doing good can still work on your P&L. Welcome back to Unfiltered Profit. I'm excited about this episode today. So Caitlin and I are here and we're talking about a different type of ROI, the return on the people in your company. And I think this goes really well with last week's episode about strategic planning. And you might say, how? Those two things are completely unrelated. But I think, like, in thinking about a different type of profit, and something that's been on our mind lately is just like, how do we build a business that's sustainable for us, sustainable for our team, and then still has the impact that we want to have, which, we defined our mission statement about how many business owners' lives we want to change and why we see the value in supporting them and their financial so that they can live better lives and their employees can live better lives. Like, we know financial profitability impacts not just the business owner, but the team. And we want to support that, support our team. And there's a lot of good that comes from that. So we're diving into that today.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's just so easy. It is because profit is such an easy number that you can toss up on Instagram and LinkedIn and say, hey, look at all of this profit. And I think it's one of those things you miss the forest for the trees, right? Like, that's
Mhm.
awesome. But did you take care of your people yourself? Did you reinvest in the business? Like, it is okay to purposefully have a lower profit. I think we're going to start. So, like, that really leads to profit seems to be the only metric that folks say, like, this is how I can measure my business and this is what matters. And if it's not high enough, if it's not 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50%, I'm not doing a good job. And I think that comes from publicly traded companies, right? Like, they are so focused on it because they
They
have
have to be.
shareholders. Right. They
Right.
have to be. They have shareholders they have to please. But we, as privately owned businesses, who's measuring it? Maybe the banks once in a while, but like, who's really looking at your profit and caring about it other than you, the business owner? So I think it's time to really challenge that as being the dominant sign of success for a business.
Yes. And I think one of the places where when you're sitting down with a business owner and you're doing their own personal annual planning, one of the first questions that we ask is like, well, how much do you need to
Yeah.
take home, want to take home? Right. And then above and beyond that, we have room to say, well, what else is important to you? Is your team important to you? Is their lifestyle, the way they work? Like, well, what are those other factors? Because once you've accomplished your goal of how much money you need, I mean, and sure, more money is always great. Like, you're not going to hear me say that it's not. I'm not trying to
Right.
argue that at all,
Yeah.
but there's a give and take to everything, and diving into this aspect of it, because you're right. We're not like, we're not opening up our books to other people to be like, look at how great we're doing.
Right.
No small business does that other than to the banks if you need something. So beyond that, you get to do what you want.
And yeah, you should
Hallelujah.
enjoy. Right. And then, like, there's just a matter. Culture costs money. Like, helping people be happy at work costs money. When your big offices go and get the fancy chairs for you and the nice computers, like, that costs money, but it also makes doing the job a little more enjoyable. And those, I would even say, are like surface level things. I mean, a comfortable chair for 8 hours probably matters, but I mean, it's the bare minimum to make sure that you're happy at where you work and what you're doing. But I think what we've seen is some companies are really diving deep and they're advertising that they're diving
Mm,
deep. And that is creating loyalty from customers, not just employees, but loyalty from customers because they're like, I want to support the company that's
yeah.
doing this. So Cakes is one that comes to mind. I don't know if anyone else has heard about them, but they make like inserts for your bras or your bathing suits or stuff like that. So for women, and they have decided, I think at the end of like last year, they determined they were going to pay for all of childcare for their employees.
Love to see
Um,
that.
they take off most of December, paid PTO, and
Wow.
I mean, many other benefits. But as I hear them like rack up these things that they're doing, I'm like, oh, their profit must be much lower. I'm sure their owners are taking a good salary, but I think their profit is lower than what we would expect.
I mean, it has to be, right?
Right.
Because if you sat them side by side with a competitor that was built the exact same way, but not offering those benefits, like, it's going to be substantially lower. Like
Yeah.
childcare is not cheap, whether it's paid for by the company or by you personally, right? Like it is not cheap. And if it is cheap, you probably don't want your child there.
Right. Right. And there's just that adjustment. But the nice part, I think, is when a business owner comes and say, hey, I want to save taxes, you can save taxes by doing these things. The difference is it's not going to maybe directly impact you as the owner. I have no idea if the owners actually have kids, if they're benefiting from this. But what I can see is that their employees are benefiting and the profit is less. So therefore, the taxes owed if they're like an S corporation, which is an assumption here, is lower. If they're a C corp, it's also lower. So either way, we've reduced our taxable income. And we've put our money where we want it to go. We want it to go maybe to the childcare and the child providers. We want it to go to wellness stipends for our employees. We want it to go to paid time off. So the easy way to get money in owners' pockets is always something like retirement, but to get it just out of the IRS's hands, if you don't want it going to the government, it's to do things like invest in your people.
Yeah. And, we talk a lot about businesses being sticky, right? Like it sucks to change your insurance agent because that's just not a fun process. It sucks to change your accountant because that's not a fun process. Well, when you have really good benefits like that, it makes it way harder for your employee to be offered some grass is greener over here type job offer and leave. Like it makes you sticky as an employer because they know what they've got is good. Like if their childcare is there, not only are they like changing jobs, they're having to change childcare, which now is like a major life upheaval for all involved versus just the parent changing where they work.
Yeah. Gosh, and if I got all of December off or most of December off, like you'd be hard pressed to get me to move to a different company. When you start adding to that total compensation package looks really good at companies like this. And I don't think Cakes is the only one. It's just the one that always these days comes to mind because again, they're not dumb. They're using this as advertising. As a customer, I've bought a good portion of their products because heck, I'll support this mission and they make a really good product.
Yeah. When your customer is women and you're supporting
Women.
parents like
Yeah.
that, or when you're supporting women like that, it makes people loyal.
Yeah. So what are some other benefits that employers could consider that we've considered in the past to like implement as we grow?
So, some other things, you could do some paid team retreats or wellness days. I know that you don't have to search far on the internet to have some business guru telling you that, like, if you haven't gotten in the room with your team, that there's no way you can, like, develop a company culture. That is
A little hard, but we
a little
understand.
hard in this in
But
this
maybe
day
your
and age.
team is within the continental United States, and so this is easier to do.
Yes. Yep. You could do some education stipends, whether that's for continuing education or, I mean, even I've seen companies where it's like they'll pay for them to do some sort of like hobby type thing,
Mhm.
like just anything that's kind of benefiting the employee from that standpoint, something they're interested in. Because I'm a big proponent that the things we learn in all areas of our life, even if they're not directly applicable to our job, they come back and benefit our
It
job because a lot of times we have to go outside of our sphere to get new and improved ideas, if
Yep.
we're being completely honest.
I think it's expiring, but there's also has been tuition reimbursement should still be there. So if they're actually pursuing, that's an option too. I think this might be the last year that you can actually pay student loans on behalf of your
Oh,
employees and get some deductions for that. Again, that one I'm pretty sure expires, but these are things in the education sphere that can be helpful.
and some that are not based on that type of thing, that are just part of providing for normal sustenance. You could do meals during staff hours for all of the staff or during work hours. And then I've seen companies offer like mental health counseling services. There are a lot of options. Coaching programs.
Hmm. There's like lawyer programs I've seen at like big
Mhm.
companies. Heck, I'd even like partner with somebody for like a tax one if you wanted to like pair up and offer these again professional services to your employees. I think like if you have like a concierge on site, I think some companies have done that as well. Dry cleaning, things like that. Again, a little bit bigger, but just things you can consider that makes life easier for your employees.
Yes. Yes. And reduces your taxes in a way
Right. You
that
get to send it to the local business community or somewhere. Like it is more of an option if you really are opposed to sending it to the IRS, which I can't blame you right now, but there are ways to do it. There's also conversations to be had because some of these can benefit your employees, but not you, depending on the structure that you have. So tread carefully, tread with, discussions with your professional team, but just know that there's so many more options out there. We tend to focus, or we have on the past, on like what benefits the owner.
Yeah.
But this benefits your whole team. And again, if you can reduce that turnover, the cost of turnover is so much more than probably what some of these benefits would cost you.
Absolutely. But as always, be smart. We're not encouraging you to have a loss or have cash flow problems based on offering these types of services. You still have to be running a smart, profitable business and then build these things in as nice extras. If you're in lean times, everybody has to get scrappy.
Yeah. And I've seen talk of companies that do that where I think there's one I followed before, but they're on the West Coast. They basically look at the surplus that's coming and they allocate it out. But they also, as a team, look at the lean years and say, okay, well, what are we cutting back on? Because we can't afford this. I think they've had to go so far as like people have cut back hours so that they didn't have to lay anybody off. So those are the trade-offs here. And it's worth that consideration. The nice part also is you don't owe FICA taxes on most of these benefits. Like if we can classify them as a fringe benefit, the cost is the cost. We're not having to add the 7.65% to it.
That is nice. Yeah, so there are a lot of options out there.
So yeah, let your business grow and then decide what you do with that success, or bring your team in to decide what you do with that success. If you can take more home, if you can reinvest in people in your culture, it's great. And just looking at that mission of your company, are you aligned in your values? And you can do good by both taking care of your team and providing an awesome product or service to your clients. And for all you know, you might make clients and employees really sticky with options like this. So thank you for joining us today, and check out the show notes for links to upcoming webinars that we're hosting, for links to our tax tips if you would like to learn more, and just other places where you can find and follow us.
Tax season doesn't have to feel like a pop quiz you forgot to study for. Join us for a free webinar on November 6th, where we'll walk you through what business owners actually need to do to get prepped without the panic, the paper piles, or the endless Google searches. We'll cover what your accountant really wants from you, how to avoid surprise tax bills, and simple steps you can take now to save money later. If you're a service-based business owner who's tired of winging it every April, this one's for you. It's free, it's practical, and we promise to keep the jargon to a minimum. Register at the link in the show notes, and let's make this tax season your smoothest one yet.